Almost 11 years since Daniel McBreen led the Mariners to that famous first championship for the Central Coast back in 2013 against the new kids on the block, Western Sydney. For the years since, they've had their ups and downs, these two sides, but right now at the same moment in time, the Central Coast and Western Sydney have rediscovered their mojo, their identity, and we are all the beneficiaries because this is a high-stakes, heavyweight contest once again, and we cannot wait for this one at CommBank Stadium. The team news for Western Sydney: 3 changes for Marco Rudan's men after that 3-1 win over MacArthur on Monday. Huge news in goals. Jack Gibson, initially named on the team sheet, went down injured in warm-up, so Daniel Margush is back in the A-League for the first time since May 2022. Valentino Ewell also returns to the starting side. Lockie Brook goes to the bench, and Josh Brillante returns from suspension with Oscar Priestman forced back to the bench. So what a turn of events pre-game. Jack Gibson, he was just doing some regulation warm-ups, catching some crosses. He falls awkwardly on that knee. He left the field in the arms of the trainers. Such a sad story, of course. He came in for Lawrence Thomas, who's away on international duty with the Socceroos, and defender Anthony Pantazopoulos, not initially in the matchday squad. He is going to come onto the bench as a backup goalkeeper. Yes, you heard that right. Usually plays as a centre-back. He's played twice this season. Was out with a hamstring injury, but has since returned, and he will be the backup to Daniel Margush, who's back in goals for the first time in almost 2 years. No such problems for Mark Jackson. It's an unchanged side after that dramatic 4-2 New Year's Eve win over Perth. Marco Tulio plays his final match before he heads off to Japan. Midfielder Brad Tapp will be hoping to celebrate his 23rd birthday in style as he makes back-to-back starts in the A-League. While Alu Kuol, he has been in fine form, hasn't he, lately? 4 goals in his last 7. The Western Sydney, they're one of 3 clubs he hasn't scored against in the Isuzu Ute A-League. Marco Tulio playing his 40th and final A-League match for the Mariners as he departs for J-League club Kyoto Sanga, and he will look to bid farewell in some fine form. He grabbed a double on New Year's Eve. He's got 3 in his last 3, 13 in 17 this season across all competitions, to go with 4 assists. It's a pretty impressive resume this season. Marco Rudan, well, he has had a bit of thinking to do pre-game, but there is some good news around for Wanderers fans. There's talk he could be about to sign on for a long-term deal. Mark Jackson, well, he's been really impressed with the turnaround from his side after 4 straight losses to begin the new campaign in the league. 9-match unbeaten run now across all competitions. Alex King in charge of A-League match 123. Second time in charge of this fixture between Western Sydney and the Mariners. So we're all set and ready to go. It's been a dramatic day already in the warm-up, and we haven't even kicked a ball yet. So Western Sydney chase top spot against a Mariners side on a 9-match unbeaten run. This, as I mentioned, Macca, is a heavyweight contest once again, and we are really looking forward to it.
Yeah, good afternoon, Benny. As Western Sydney go on the attack early here.
And it's that man, Milanovic, who's been superb for Western Sydney. Couldn't find the cross on that occasion, as he did last week with a couple of assists in that man-of-the-match performance against the Bulls.
Yeah, he's been exceptional this year for Western Sydney. Both teams haven't had any problems with scoring goals. The Mariners, 10 in their last 3. Come up against a really well-organised Western Sydney defensive unit as well. So it'd be an interesting contest today.
Well, this the 34th meeting between these two sides. Western Sydney have dominated it 15-8 with 10 draws. They lead the head-to-heads here at CommBank 5-2. would you believe it, Macca, since the rebuilt Combank Stadium, Western Sydney never won 3 straight. That's the kind of history they're chasing here today. You probably could understand it if you thought deeply, but not based on the way Western Sydney have played here at home this season. There's Nick Milanovic and Hendricks linking up. Hands went up from the Mariners for offside, and the whistle is blown by Alex King.
Well, it had to be offside, didn't it? He was almost on the byline. As per usual, referee's assistant just have to wait. You see there, maybe not quite on the byline, but clearly in an offside position. Referee waits for the pending chance to unfold.
Another great crowd in here for this one. We've had some big crowds across the festive period in the A-League. It's been wonderful to see. And why wouldn't you want to come out and watch these two sides play? As you mentioned, Macca, the Mariners entertain us. Western Sydney the same here at home, but they've also been quite miserly at the back. Just 4 goals conceded in 6 matches here at home. That's going to be the challenge for the Mariners. Can they break down this Wanderers defensive unit, which is led by Marcelo and the young star Alex Bonatig?
He's a real force at the back, isn't he, for Western Sydney? Marcelo, real leader, plenty of experience, organises, and he likes to play the mind games with the opposition as well. Hearing that in the friendly catch-up before the game, he said to Marco Tulio, maybe he said, have you signed for in Japan yet? And Marco Tulio said yes. He said, well, maybe you shouldn't have played today. So was that just a little mind game to say, I'm coming to get you? We saw his antics with Jason Cummings last year as well with the ribs. It's a real old school type of player.
Yeah, and you hear everything out of Western Sydney camp. He is such a wonderful leader of this side. He's one of those players you'd hate to play against, but love as a teammate.
Yeah, for the moment he came, everyone said at the club that he was such a real team man. He had all the team around for Brazilian barbecues and had them around to get to know each other, and he's the kind of player that every club would love to have. But as you say, when you're playing against him, you certainly know that he's there.
The Mariners have such good memories of this ground. First time back here since that famous night in 2023. They'll be looking to continue on with their terrific form and see if they can add some more silverware to the collection in 2024. As Torres looks to slide it out in front of Nisbet. Well, he's just moved into his work nicely, hasn't he? Angel Torres, 5 goals in his last 3. Had a really indifferent start. Struggling to score. Had that red card against Perth, but wow, he is maybe the man to take the limelight when Marco Tulio does depart after today. As Tap links with Caltac. Blisby. Milanovic finding Brillante. Hendricks kept it moving. Did really well there to keep his feet, and then the pass at the key moment. Handed over to Torres. Nisbet. He's done well. He did do well, Milanovic, and again it landed at the feet of a Mariner. And this time he wins the free kick. That is an example of Nick Milanovic this season. He gives away possession and then he's desperate to make up for the mistake.
Yeah, and he used his body well there. Notice Torres coming behind, just got his body across the line, drew the foul from Angel Torres.
And you can read all about his journey on Keep Up at the moment, Nick Milanovic, where he talks about the influence that Marco Rudan's had on him. He says that he really believes in him in a way that no one else has believed in him before, and he wants to repay that faith.
Well, he's certainly doing that, isn't he, with his performances this year.
As Yule, well, it spills in here for Battolato. Tap dives in and wins the ball and gets a high five from Torres as well. It's going to be a corner.
Well, it was a good challenge in the end. The ball really shouldn't have got there. Angel Torres just see him throw his head up there. He knew he misjudged it. Let the ball get through, and covering tackle was needed.
Hendricks with the corner. Well placed. Marcelo with the header. Appeals for handball. Milanovic looking for a second opportunity on the volley, and he wins a corner. Marcelo is going up to the referee. Just asking the question.
Well, he's asking for the handball here. There's not much in that, is there, Brian Caltex?
What about Farrell? The way he...
Maybe the way he's pulling him, yeah. Yep. He's got a job for himself today, Farrell, to mark Marcelo on corners.
And you can see Milanovic trying to ensure Farrell doesn't get anywhere near Marcelo. And he's done well. Tap giving chase, earning his side a throw. Well, if the opening 7.5 minutes are to go by, we're in for a good one here. The intensity you can just feel already.
Here's another look at that header. You see Brian Caltex, the arms are down by the side. You're right, it might have been Marcelo just saying to Alex King, just watch the arms as I'm trying to get away.
Some pressure by Battolato. He gets back-to-back starts, Alex Battolato, which is fantastic for the 18-year-old. 4 appearances for him this season as Yule. To Hendricks, we've seen that kind of pass before, but Antonsen's first touch just let him down.
Well, it was a lovely ball, wasn't it? I expect Antonsen just to pull that one down. He just lost the ball. Hendricks with the ball, look at that. It's not a dime. It just took his eye off it at the wrong moment there. Hasn't he been a good find as well, Hendricks, this season?
Yeah, and there's news around that he too is going to be at Western Sydney beyond this season, which is going to be huge for the Wanderers. Rue towards Kuala. He was too powerful in the air, but Margush has been able to recover. And Western Sydney Wanderers goalkeeper is asking Alex King the question.
Well, for me, there's nothing wrong with that. He only has eyes for the ball. He doesn't lift his arms. He goes with the head. If you go have another look there, you see they both meet at the top. She's asking for the foul, but for mine, that was just a fair challenge. And I think that's good refereeing from Alex King.
Yeah, well, it's a pressure situation for Daniel Margush because, as we mentioned, hasn't played in the A-League since May 2022. He hasn't even been on the bench to start the season because Jack Gibson has been the backup to Lawrence Thomas. So this is a huge opportunity for him. If Western Sydney don't want him in the long term, he can put himself in the shop window here because he is going to get some opportunities to start unless Western Sydney do decide to bring someone in during the window. Could potentially happen, but if that is the case, well, this is his moment here, right now. Simmons himself right on the chalk and was able to use that width to his advantage, and now Battolato just didn't get the purchase on the drive. Hasn't scored in the A-League, has scored for Western Sydney in the Cup, but just couldn't get enough power or accuracy behind it.
It's a great run from Aiden Sims, isn't it? Powerful, using his body to get across the line to keep the defenders at bay, and then when needed got the head up and found the pass, and a good pass it was as well.
You can see how highly Aiden Simmons is thought of by Marco Rudan. Had a slow start to the season with that hamstring strain, worked his way back into the side off the bench, but now he's locked and loaded, starting 4 straight now for the young 20-year-old former Sydney FC product, as Alex King will come back for a free kick. Simmons. Adelato finds Ewell back in the starting side today. Well, that was acrobatic. It was a great clearance away from Brian Kaltak. Rue towards Nisbet. Handed back to Western Sydney. And Milanovic just had a little peek at Danny Vukovic.
Not too sure if that was the idea. The run of Valentino Ewell might have been what he was looking at there. Just maybe overcooked it a little. You're looking at me, Benny, like you think he was trying for the cheeky chip.
Well, he's full of confidence at the moment.
Yep.
Why not? Well, he'll certainly claim that, won't he?
100%.
Combination, isn't it? This Mariners centre-back pairing, Dan Hall and Kaltak. They've kept a couple of clean sheets in recent matches. That's why Mark Jackson has decided to stick with the pairing, because at the start of the season it was Nathan Tall alongside Kaltak, but Hall worked his way into the side after Nathan Paul's injury. And he stuck with that combo. Mark Jackson, Hall with 7 starts now for the season.
Well, it looked a little shaky, didn't he, Dan Hall, over the past, I'd say, 18 months, where he was in and out and then couldn't really hold down a spot. He's certainly doing so at the moment. He's been good since getting his opportunity again.
Farrell diving in. Hendricks goes clattering to the turf after some contact from Quoll, but Alex King okay with it all. Under some pressure from Quoll. Brillante back after that 2-match suspension. That red card against Adelaide for the challenge on Ryan Tunnicliffe, but Marco Rudan bring him straight back in, the experienced midfielder. Adelato just not quite quick enough. Max Ballard reading the situation perfectly. So to Aiden Simmons for Western Sydney.
Well, they've been a bit sloppy, the Mariners, haven't they? Giving the ball away too easy.
There's some energy from Bonatic. Allows this raid potentially to prosper for Western Sydney. Milanovic, good deflection, and that made it easy pickings in the end for Vukovic. Danny Vukovic save percentage down this season, but you look at the big chances he saved, equal best in the league, 12 big chances saved. The way the Mariners play, he does get a lot of opportunities to make saves. He is a quality custodian. It's Clisby. Finding himself in some space, just drag that pass to Farrell. Both sides just struggling to get in any kind of rhythm in this opening 16 and a half minutes.
Yeah, there's been a lot of turnover of possession, under-hit passes. Both teams, when they win the ball, looking to really open up the opposition really quickly.
Milanovic really is a focal point for Western Sydney. Uses the run of Clisby, but Storm Rue, a fire blanket on that occasion. Simmons taking on Farrell. Caltack, regarded as Vanuatu's best ever football player. He was actually awarded the National Honour second-class medal from the Vanuatu president after that grand final win last year for the Mariners. He'll be looking to add some more silverware to his cabinet in 2024. Don't know if you can get much better than that.
Well, it's not bad, is it? Your first year as a professional, win the league. In the grand final, he was an instrumental part in that as well.
Ballard driving forward into some space. Delarte not giving him a moment's peace. Look to reset here through Dan Hall. Well, it's a Pacific combination, the centre-back combination, isn't it? Dan Hall has said that he's going to consider whether he does play for Fiji or Australia. Got a couple of options on the table for him.
Well, it's just a little slow, isn't it? A little sloppy. Ballard on that occasion just looking to really overplay. Tried the real difficult pass. They've got the ball back, but it's just been a little bit sloppy for the Mariners. Under good pressure from Western Sydney, mind you.
Tulio lines it up, but two wanderers getting in the way. Brillante and Clisby just closing the path to goal. Best defence in the league. Western Sydney, 11 goals conceded. Most clean sheets equal with Wellington on 5. So this is a real tough nut to crack for the Mariners. As Farrell into the arm of Tap. Referee allowing play to go on here. Tulio skips past Clisby. Uses Rue. And then the cheeky dink to Rue. Hendricks has been hit by the high boot and gets the whistle from Alex King.
Well, it was wonderful play from Marco Tulio. That's what we've become accustomed to seeing from him. A bit of technical skill just to flick that ball up over the defenders, and Storm Rue had found himself in a position. He just couldn't let that ball drop. Just had to hit it on the volley as it was coming down, but allowed it to bounce, which allowed Hendricks to slip in. And then obviously the free kick was given.
Storm Rue trying to win the ball back from Milanovic. Space for Battolato. And now Antonsen pulling wide. Milanovic returns it to the Swede. And Dan Hall was there in the nick of time for the Mariners. Good connection from Western Sydney. Really nice movement, wasn't it, from Antonsen? Now it's Hendricks giving chase. Appeals for handball, but Rue waving the finger, and I think his arms were down by his side.
Well, I don't think any of the Western Sydney players were asking, but that hit the arm there. Was down by his side, but
Natural position, wasn't it?
yeah.
Dare I say it? Oh, hang on a second. Referee blows the whistle. VAR just having a look at it. And that is Lara Lee giving it the all clear. Corner comes in. Ewell, of all players, usually dazzling with his feet. And now tap. Finding Farrell, and it's good energy from Simmons.
Here's that ball in. It's a wonderful ball. Tino Ewell found himself free. Unfortunately for him, directed it straight at Danny Vukovic.
2 goals in his last 4, Valentino Ewell, since he arrived at the club last month. And I'm thinking that's why he's been promoted to the starting side today after scoring off the bench on New Year's Day. Farrell gets a clip from Ewell. And Alex King just having a little chat to Valentino.
That was a challenge of a striker who doesn't want to chase back too far. Try and win that ball early. A little tight, a little late. Battle down this near touchline with Farrell, Simmons, Ewell, Torres.
It really is wonderful, these young players getting opportunities. It's just so good to see them going head to head. Tulio here up against a young man who's really stepped up this season in Milanovic, who's keeping an eye on he and now Stormaroo. Tap and Farrell. Drives it centrally. Clisby. A little bit of fortune there for the Mariners off the back of Nisbet. Just sauntering into midfield. Tulio to Stormaroo, who's just hiding out there in the blazing sun. Would have loved to pull Rankmacher and say, hang on, Jacob, why don't you play right back in this first half? Tap. Desperation comes from the Mariners midfielder, Nisbet. And Tulio! Well, there's a parting gift from the Brazilian. Magnificent! And the Mariners lead Western Sydney.
Well, he's going to be missed, isn't he? Marco Tulio. It was wonderfully worked, one in midfield from Brad Tapp on the Harvey Norman replay. Josh Nisbet just saw Tulio, who just drifted into that space around the edge of the box. And he has one touch, and he had only got one thing on his mind. And he unleashes a wonderful strike. And there's nothing that Daniel Margoose can do about that one, except watch it sail into the back of the net. Take a bow, Marco Tulio. That is quality from a quality player.
Sayonara, Marco. Say the Mariners fans, you will be missed. How about that for a record? But this season, 14 goals in 18 matches. across all competitions.
Well, he took his time last year to really get up to top speed. And I remember Nick Montgomery saying, just watch this guy, he is something else. And he fairly stormed into form towards the end of the season, and for mine was one of the best, if not the best, in the league towards the end of the year. Might have been a little slow start in the A-League this season, but he is starting to hit form. And he has been an absolutely wonderful acquisition for Central Coast Mariners. And I'm sure the fans and the staff will be sorry to see him go. As we see Hendricks there just getting a little bit of running repairs, what looks like the groin.
So here's the test for Western Sydney. And they've conceded first this season. They haven't won. Had that wonderful fight back against Melbourne victory. They were down 2-0 against Newcastle. Brisbane brought that back to 2 apiece. So here's the challenge for the Wanderers at home. There's no doubt Marco Rudan will have a plan. So much quality.
Well, he doesn't look happy, does he? But he's going behind to an absolutely wonder strike. He won't be happy with the time and space afforded to Marco Tulio, but it was a wonderful strike. You go back to last week, it took an absolute screamer to score against them as well. They are a hard nut to crack.
Got a feel for Daniel Margouche as well. Comes back in goals. First game it's May 2022 in the A-League, and he gets that from a white-hot striker.
Well, that's what happens when you give a player of his quality time and space around the edge of the box. He only had one thing on his mind as that ball came from Josh Nisbet. First touch and then finish.
He has been industrious in midfield, hasn't he? He wants to celebrate this 23rd birthday in style.
That's it. He was the one who won the ball with a strong challenge in midfield to get the ball back for the goal.
And you think about the players, so Harry Steele is a little arm in the way from tap. Not spotted by Alex King. His industry has been rewarded in this match so far. Think about Harry Steele out at the moment with a broken foot, so he's got some weeks on the sideline. These midfielders, they're like pit bulls, aren't they? They're just going at it, knowing they've got to take their opportunity because there's someone else. Marco Tulio driving in, earning a corner. It's amazing how you just flick a switch confidence-wise. Mariners, 4 straight defeats to start the season. Low on confidence, not getting much luck, to be fair, as well. How it all turns so quickly.
Well, in the A-League, since that 4 straight losses, they've scored 19 goals in 6 games at 3.16. This is before today, and only conceded 8 in 6. So to say that they've found some form and they're starting to gel, I think it's a bit of an understatement. They're doing very, very well.
Tap. Not his best moment in this first half. Well, Macca, the turnaround was back in round 5, the F3 derby, 3-1 against Newcastle. It's funny, those kind of matches, the derby, gets the juices flowing, and yeah, it's the Mariners of last season. New man in charge, same old story. Entertainers of this competition. One moment away here, Western Sydney, from getting themselves back in it. Milanovic. And it was Storm Rue alongside Dan Hall who shut the opening for Nick Milanovic. And now the turn from Qual. It was a confidence boosting turn for the Mariners striker. Now Torres grabs a corner for the Mariners, and off the back of that goal from Marco Tulio, they are just turning up the dial.
Well, it was great counter-attacking football, and it's just there. It's just overhit just a little from Alu Kual. It sends Torres a little wider than he would have liked. If that pass is a little better, he maybe gets across Marcelo and drives towards goal, but in the end it's a corner.
Well, they'd love a second here, wouldn't they, the Central Coast? Tulio taking his time. Hang on a second. Alex King wants to chat.
It's a little bit of WrestleMania going on in the 6-yard box between Antonsen and Kual.
The two strikers going at it. Striker on striker. Antonsen doing the defending. Tulio doing the corner duties. And in the end, it's harmlessly into the lap of Margush. Milanovic, the turn of speed as he slid in between Simmons. Milanovic is able to reach it and hook it back. Could be problems here for the Mariners, but Ballard puts his boot through it. Marcelo. He's another man that could be back, the Wanderers captain, next season. Only signed to this year at the moment, but close to being sealed for another season, which would be huge. As Tulio, surely not again. Well, that would have been a disaster for Margush if that went over his head. On return, Marco Tulio, he's just going to shoot from everywhere.
Well, I don't mind that. It's keeping the keeper on his toes. Let's just make him stand a little further back for the next through ball. He wants to be higher and sweeping.
Yule has the overlap of Simmons to sides against using it, but fortune favours Valentino Yule, who pulls his shot wide. But when he has the ball at his feet, things often happen.
A little bit fortunate there, but finds himself with space and says, well, why not? Have a crack across the face here. It's a tight angle. Touch that Danny Vukovic could have gone into the path of one of the teammates who were sweating on it around the penalty spot.
If you were reviewing that moment with him, would you be asking him to play the pass to Simmons, or are you happy with that individual moment?
Can't tell a striker not to shoot.
There's Nisbet. Still Nisbet. Almost just wedged it onto the boot of Marco Tulio. Interesting one on Josh Nisbet. He was brought through Sunshine Coast by Ben Kahn. Now, I've only got him signed with the Mariners until the end of this season. I'm sure they'll be keen to tie him down.
Yeah.
Ben Kahn, now the head coach of Brisbane. He's got some good connections with a number of young players in the league that he's worked with. What, do you agree with me, Macca, or you just went a bit silent?
No,
there?
sorry, I was engrossed in the game for a moment there. But no, look, yeah, I'm sure the Mariners are probably already in negotiations. Well, if they're not, they're crazy, because he's been their best player, one of their best players the last season or so.
It's a free kick for Western Sydney. That is the challenge, though, isn't it, with success, trying to keep all your players. Players like that man, Max Ballard. Just got a production line of them, the Mariners, as Milanovic versus Rue. Milanovic turning him left and right. Is he the man to pull Western Sydney back into this one? He looks the most likely.
He looks dangerous when he has the ball, isn't he? He's free-flowing, getting at players. Until now, though, the Mariners have done well defensively.
As I was mentioning, Brisbane, don't forget, straight after this one on Network 10 and Paramount Plus. Ben Khan's first match in charge of Brisbane Roar up against Ufi Tallay's Sydney FC. Ufi Tallay knows what it's like coming in. First game as a head coach. He's aware of the danger. Should be a cracker. Do not miss it. Kickoff 7:45 up there at Suncorp. It's always a great rivalry, that Brisbane v Sydney clash. Adelanto. Simmons left it there for Antonsen, just set it up for him on a dime, but the Mariners' desperation in their own 18-yard box has been exemplary, and now it's Nisbet in transition here, swerving left and right. Torres straight into the red and black block.
Yeah, a little disappointing end to that move. It's plenty of promise, plenty of shirts, yellow shirts getting forward. It's almost a tired effort really in the end, wasn't it?
Got to keep an eye out if you're in the stands. A few kids having their fish and chips weren't looking up. Marcelo. Brillante. Bonatic back from that broken foot. There was talk that it was going to keep him out for a few months, potentially the season, but he had that keyhole surgery. It went well and came back well ahead of schedule, which is huge because left-sided centre-backs, they are extremely rare, and that's why he was first choice at the beginning of the season alongside Marcelo. Tom Beadling not in the squad. He is on his way back from that groin injury. Lante. Links with Simmons, good turn, skips past the challenge of tap. Referee plays advantage here for the Wanderers. Clearsby beats Tulio, good delivery, and it's Jacob Farrell at the last moment. It looked to get a key toe in to knock it over the bar.
Well, it was a wonderful ball from Clearsby, wasn't it? Right through the danger area. And I think it's Brian Kaltak in the end who may have got the last touch to clear.
Yeah. From the turf as well. Extremely impressive.
And he's been impressive with his crossing for me this year. Jack Clearsby.
Western Sydney going short. Clearsby is across to the back post. Looking for Milanovic. Marcelo. Hendricks hasn't scored in the Isuzu Ute League. Decided he'd have a pop.
It was a difficult one, that one, under pressure from distance.
Looked to be rocking back a little as well. Oh,
yeah, I think this is, we saw him earlier get some strapping. I think that's might be the day for him.
Gee, that's a huge blow. So first, their goalkeeper, initially named Jack Gibson, injured his knee in the warm-up. He was forced out. And now, in-game, Jorrit Hendricks, their star midfield signing. The three-time champion of the Eredivisie forced from the field before half-time. Oscar Priestman goes on now. He started against MacArthur on Monday. Brillante suspended, so great player to bring off the bench, but not the decision Marco Rudin wanted to make after 41 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was a groin earlier, a bit of strapping, so let's hope that's nothing too major and it's more precautionary for them.
How many groin issues did you have during your career, and how challenging are they to deal with?
Well, they can be one of those injuries that just won't go away. So let's just hope it's something that he's felt it early and just realised, well, I can't go on, but it's only a week or two.
And it's not an injury you can hide either, is it, Marco Rudin? Watching on. He had that issue, of course, with Tom Beadling in that match last month against Adelaide, where he was forced off before halftime with that groin problem as well. Dan Hall really stretching his legs up towards halfway. Nisbet and Torres. Wasn't too much width on offer on the left, but Farrell joining in, and the Mariners head back the other way. Kaltak leaving Antonsen in his wake. Tulio just couldn't get the bend as he went with the outside of the boot to storm Rue, or the Mariners would have had another great opportunity.
He's not happy with himself. He expects higher standards from himself. It was the right idea, just didn't quite connect with the ball as he would have liked.
So dare I say it, Macca, since scoring the opener, the Mariners, they've looked much more comfortable. But halftime can just bring a change of momentum. We saw that last night, MacArthur and Newcastle. MacArthur coming out in the second half, really dominating, getting that equaliser late in the end after it was a much more even, or a much more Jets-dominated first 45 minutes. That's what Western Sydney fans will be hoping here. Marco Rudin gets them into the sheds and is able to sort things out. What would be even better is if they can get an equaliser now as Simmons. It was too much for Antonsen to stretch for. Alato. Clisby. Milanovic. And Hall away. The cross from Clisby, and the Mariners through Tulio. Has Qual ahead of him, who was making that forward run. But Tulio, he's just slowed to a walk. He's happy just to cruise into half-time.
It's been warm in that sun over on that far side, hasn't it?
Good news for him is it will be a little bit cooler in Japan. Pressure coming, it was good from Brillante, but then at the final moment, little arm in there, little touch of the heels of Ballard, and gave away the free kick. They just sensed a moment there, Western Sydney, to press. They win that ball legally, and it would have been off. Now the Mariners probing here for a second goal. Torres, Nisbet tricks his way past it, couple. Now Yule, got away to Brillante, and now tapped, comes flying through. It'll just be a throw in the end.
Well, he's been very aggressive, hasn't he, Brad Tapp? in that midfield. Any turnovers, he's there to try and win it back, to apply pressure.
Nisbet. Josh Nisbet sending Wanderers left and right. Brillante and Simmons struggling to contain him. Torres, Claw got his head to it. It bobbles up to Nisbet. And then Simmons, just at the last moment, was able to get a crucial toe in. And now there's a corner right before half-time for the Mariners.
It was deceptive, that header from Quoll, wasn't it? Not sure where it was going, and it just fell to the feet of Nisbet. Just couldn't quite get it under his control. Thought maybe a more attacking-minded player might have just let the boot fly and have a pot shot first time.
Final play of this first half, most likely. And it's the goal scorer with the corner kick. Margush, good strong claim. And now he's feeling his back. And Western Sydney fans are hoping it's just a knock. There's no further issues, because they've got a defender as their backup goalkeeper on the bench, but he looks okay. The only disappointment from the first half for Western Sydney, that goal for Marco Tulio. And what a strike it was in his final match for the Central Coast. His 40th in the Isuzu Ute A-League. It's his goal, which is the difference between these two sides. Half-time at Combank, Western Sydney Wanderers 0, Central Coast Mariners 1. And we'll be back with all the halftime analysis. Daniel McBreen and Tristan McManus joining the show. It's the Mariners leading by a goal to 0.
Oh, here goes Sam Kerr, through on goal. Kerr blasts it into the roof of the net. Australia's all-time. Away goes Sam Kerr, through on goal, Kerr blasts it into the roof of the net. Australia's all-time leading goal scorer. Fowler, it opens up for the shot. Oh, Mary Fowler, breathtaking. What a goal from the Golden Girl, Mary Fowler.
Hello and welcome back to the Hungry Jacks halftime show. We're here at Combank Stadium. The score is Central Coast Mariners 1, Western Sydney Wanderers 0. There was a wonder goal after 20 minutes last week. Another one after 25 minutes, and would you believe it, Marco Tulio is the man once again. Things have been going from bad to worse for Wanderers today. In the warm-up, Jack Gibson hurt his knee. He had to come off. He got replaced by Daniel Margush. And then just before the end of the first half as well, Jorrit Hendricks went down injured. Oscar Priestman come on here. It's been a not too bad of a game so far. There hasn't been a scoreless draw here since 2015. Could be more goals in the second half. To talk you through the highlights of the first half, here's Ben Homer and Daniel McBreen.
Thank you, Tristan. Yes, well, there was plenty of drama before the match. There was plenty during it as well, Daniel McBreen, as we have a look at the Harvey Norman highlights. And a lot of it was Western Sydney until this goal for the Mariners.
Yeah, it was Marco Rudan will be disappointed with his team for allowing a player of his quality that much time and space around the edge of the box. It was a wonderful challenge from Brad Tapp to win the ball. And when he received it, Marco Tulio from Josh Nisbet, he had one thing on his mind. I've got space, I'm going to open myself up, and I'm going to smash it into that net. And he duly obliged. And he has been some player for the Mariners over the course of his tenure at the club.
Well, can I just say, Macca, I just hope the media manager of Kyoto Sanger hasn't cut his highlights yet, because he needs to add another goal to it to promote him. But the Mariners had their moments as well. Alu Kuol, he's just growing in confidence every week. That was just really good strength in the air. Western Sydney had their chances, though, as well.
Well, they did. Aiden Simmons getting forward, Valentino Guel, Milanovic as well looked dangerous at times, but these are the kind of efforts they've had. They haven't really had that. They've had a couple of headers close to, in the centre areas where potentially could have got a bit more from it, but defending from the Mariners has kept them at bay so far.
Western Sydney leading shots at goal, pretty even statistics across the board. But who's created the most danger, would you say, in this match?
Well, it's been a real arm wrestle for mine across the board. It's been very even for both teams. The Western Sydney have had a little bit more possession and moved the ball a little bit more, but both sets of strikers on both teams have had opportunities, more counter-attacking, quick movement football, but the defensive side duties from both sides has been pretty good today.
Well, let's head back down to the sideline, Tristan. You've been mightily impressed, and it's so hard not to be impressed by the Mariners' main man.
Oh, most definitely. Marco Tulio, he is the man, and he has been pretty much the man since he came to the Mariners. 40 appearances, 15 goals and 8 assists. He really is on fire every time. We talked about it before, and Marcelo being in his ear asking him why he doesn't take the day off, considering he's going to the J1 League. I bet you wish he took the day off now. A fantastic strike. He really is so important. We saw an influx, or an outflux, we should say, of players from the Mariners in pre-season. No doubt there would have been so much interest in Tulio. It was so important that he stayed around, and he really is showing his worth, especially for Mark Jackson in the tough start that he had. I was interested. Now, last time I tried to talk to Tulio, they said he doesn't speak English. I bet you he knows a couple of words now. But he really has been fantastic, and what a wonder goal to get this game going so far. He's great, and I believe you guys have a bit more facts on him so far in this game too.
Well, Tristan, why don't we just keep pumping up Marco Tulio, because he's dominating just about every metric. Let's have a look now at the Paramount Plus Player Index, and there he is, Tulio, 92.4. Not far away, Hendricks. That just shows you what a big loss he is for Western Sydney. But Nick Milanovic, number 4 there, he's been highly influential. He
has going forward. He's been great. He's looked very lively and looked to combine, but this is the man at the moment. Wax lyrical about him, but he just produces and he keeps producing. He has produced constantly for the Mariners, and it's, as I said in the call, it's going to be a big loss for them to try and fill his shoes when he goes, because he's just quality. And I love the way that smile we see on the picture there is what you see on the pitch as well. He enjoys his football. He likes to really enjoy his time on the pitch, and you see that come through with he lets his football do the talking. He might not have to speak much English, but he lets his football do the talking, and he talks mighty well.
It's a global language, isn't it, football? Tristan, Western Sydney with a bit of work to do in the second half. I'm very interested to see what they can produce in the second half.
Yeah, you're dead right, Ben, but we know they got it in them. We've seen it here before. It's been a great game. No doubt the second half's going to be even better. It's a great game here. It's going to be a great game next week too. Of course, we've got the Unite round coming up, but also we have the Asian Cup and the Socceroos as they take on India. That concludes the Hungry Jacks halftime show. We'll see you after the break for the second half. Now, obviously, we can have our predictions and whatnot, sometimes with our head, sometimes with our heart. So maybe give me two winners here, one with your head and one with your heart. Megan?
Well, I think we have to go with our heart with the Socceroos, don't we? Look, there's no reason why they can't go all the way. I'm sure Graham Arnold will be telling his troops that we're here to win it. There's no other answer to that one. But I can't go past Japan. I just think they've just got so much quality across the board. They could field their second 11 and still probably be favourites to win the tournament.
Heart, I would say South Korea, because they haven't won it in so long, and because Son Heung-min, let's be honest, probably deserves an Asian title. He's so good. Heads, says Japan.
Right. Well, you're going to be there.
Yeah.
We're not, Macca. We're going to be here watching it on TV here on 10 and Paramount. Adding to that expectation, it's Socceroos or bust. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that one. Heart and head. Make sure you catch all the action of the AFC Asian Cup on Paramount and Network 10.
Craig Goodwin delivers the free kick in. It's a good ball, and it's the opening goal from the towering Harry Suter. Miller is there with Metcalf. He dinks the ball back in. Great header. Mitch Duke. What a story. 11 goals now in green and gold.
Welcome back to Combank Stadium. Well, that man, he has been in the spotlight. Marcelo has had a little bit of extra work to do, of course, with a change in plans defensively for Western Sydney to start this match. If you have just joined us, Marco Tulio. It's his goal in his farewell match for the Mariners before he heads to the J-League, which is the difference between these two sides, beating Daniel Margush in goals for Western Sydney because Jack Gibson injured his knee in the warm-up. It was a terrible-looking injury, unfortunately, for the 20-year-old goalkeeper, and that means that Western Sydney have Anthony Pantazopoulos, one of their defenders, on the bench as the backup goalkeeper. There he is. Marco Rudan, no doubt, does not want to have to push that button in this second half. He wants his side to fight back. It would be the first time they'd come from behind this season to win if they can claim all 3 points and go back to the top of the pile. But right now it's the Mariners, the champions, who are looking to start 2024 the same way they finished 2023, and that's with a win, and that's going to make it 3 straight wins if they claim all 3 points here, Daniel McBrain.
Yeah, well, it was a real arm wrestle that first half. I don't think either coach would be really displeased in the way that their team played. Marco Rudan obviously would be disappointed that Marco Tulio was afforded that time to shoot around the edge of the box. But apart from that, it was been a pretty clinical performance defensively for both teams. There's been a couple of half chances really for each team, and yeah, it's just neither team can really take the ascendancy. It's been swaying back and forth. Good game.
Jack Clisby. His crossing is excellent, and it was right on a dime for Antonsen. Now Milanovic sprays it up and over. Jack Clisby actually the only player out there to play for the opposition, if you get my drift. Usually you see a few, but so many young players across both of these two sides, it's becoming less and less likely. So the only other in the squad is Jack Wachowski, who was signed for the Mariners from Western Sydney. Goalkeepers in the spotlight today as Bonatic. Potentially would have been him playing today if he was still at Western Sydney, as Brillante. Tulio nudges it over the top. Qual charging through, giving Margush another test of strength. And Qual's fallen awkwardly here. Gee, by his facial expression, it doesn't look good. You just hope there's nothing sinister here for Alu Qual.
Well, he'll never let anything go. He grabs the hamstring straight away, doesn't he?
Oh, no.
His determination to try and get there, you see, just as he hits the floor, you see him grab for that. I think his left hamstring, is it? Straight away. That doesn't look good for Central Coast Mariners.
Because it was the right leg which hit the ground first. You thought initially that that would be the issue. And what's so tough about this, I was actually chatting to Mark Jackson, the Mariners coach, about Alu Qual and just the confidence that he's gained throughout the season. He felt that at the start of the season his confidence was a bit down from that time in Europe. Didn't get too many opportunities, especially with Stuttgart in Germany. Came back, has really got his confidence going. He's scoring goals regularly. 4 in his last 7 in the A-League, 5 in 8 across all competitions. And now he's limping from the field. Coming to the sideline for the moment for the Central Coast. Is he able to run it out? Is it just a cramp, maybe? Well. Let's hope it was maybe just a cramp or awareness, as they call it. Macca, is that right? The technical term? Awareness?
I'm not sure.
You're not a physio, are you? Brillante, Priestman, and here's Bonatic. Milanovic allowed to turn in space. Nick Milanovic, they are giving him a lot of room, maybe too much based on what he's shown us already this afternoon.
Well, he's shown us already this year that he can find the net. He's had a positive start to this second half. A bit of space between the lines of the Mariners there. Afforded the turn. Just wants to hit the target there. He was a little disappointed with himself. Got himself into a good position.
So Alu Paul back out on the pitch. Which is good news for Mariners fans. Just wonder whether he will be able to run it through. Battalato really puts on the afterburners. Tracks down the ball. Now the back heel. Milanovic stumped his toe, it seemed, on the ball there. And he did chat about in that article on Keep Up, if you missed it, just put that into your search engine, about how he's been watching Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. and just analysing their movements during a game, seeing what he can learn from watching some of the best players in the world go around. I'm sure you used to do that as well, Macca. Oh, there's a Falcon for Brillante.
Oh, that doesn't tickle, does it?
That's a shocker. Right on the bombs. Priestman cut out by Hall just in the nick of time. Tulio turning, looked as though he knew what was happening, and then gave Clisby a little bit of a shoulder on the way through. It's good work from the under his left fullback, Ewell. Opts against using Simmons initially. Left Torres behind it, then gets involved in the interception. Bonnetti. Marcelo and Simmons is sensing something building here for Western Sydney. Clisby, Antonsen. It was Dan Hall in the way initially. Antonsen back into the middle towards Ewell, who got up well. And now Torres. Oh, Wanderers fans were saying there was a handball. They thought he went down a little too easily.
He took a bit of a chance there, didn't he? Grabbing the ball. The heavy pressure from Aiden Simmons, you see here. He's got front. Simmons is there. A slight touch.
And while Torres goes down, so too did Alu Kual. So his day is done, and Jing Reese is going to replace him. Well, unfortunate to see Alu Kual heading off the field. You just hope that because he was able to move after that initial awareness of the hamstring, that's better news than if he was forced straight off. This was the incident.
Well, that's Marco Tulio's reaction to it. He should have passed it wide.
Well, he's the centre of attention today, Macca. Got to read the script. Now, this is Jack Gibson. This is the Wanderers keeper that was named to start. Played against MacArthur on New Year's Day. Injured his knee in the warm-up, just doing a crossing drill. It was quite a simple drill, fell awkwardly. Jing Reese in behind. He's just come onto the field. And maybe he needs a little more time to warm up. What a moment that was. The flag comes up anyway, but he didn't know that at the time.
Well, he does tend to really ride that offside line, look to get him behind Jing Reese. Just a little fraction early on that occasion.
came off the bench against the Jets in that round 5 win that we did highlight for the Mariners, which turned their season around. Milanovic. Well, they are asking him to punish them at the moment, the Central Coast.
Yeah, he's getting to good areas just outside the Central Coast Mariners penalty area. It's 2 or 3 shots he's had now just in this opening 9 minutes of the second half. You see 4 shots of goal to nil in the second half.
Right in front of the Wanderers fans. They'd love an equaliser very soon. Give them some time to search for that match winner. And the whistle is going to go Western Sydney's way here.
Yeah, that's good refereeing from Alex King. Okay, Tulio had no eyes for the ball there, really just ran into Jack Clisby. You see here, just jumps into him, not looking for the ball. And as they break, Jack Clisby's on the floor, so good referee.
There's a bit of feeling between those two, Clisby and Tulio. It's not the first time they've come together. Keep an eye on that. Valentino Yule cuts it back, Brillante. Well, there was a number of bodies he had to strike that through. And he couldn't quite manage the task, but he has managed the next best thing, and that's a corner kick.
They're causing problems now, Western Sydney. Valentino Yule on that occasion with a wonderful cutback.
Well, nervy times for Mariners fans as this corner comes in. Torres with the clearance. Nice strength that from Badalato. In a duel with Nisbet, and he's going to win a free kick. He's done well there because Josh Nisbet, he is such a tough player to get involved in a scrap with. Marcelo drives the pass wide to Simmons. Galante looking for Antonsen. And now Tulio may be able to run into some space here, but Priestman used his body well. Oscar Priestman goes the other way now. Went into a bit of a cul-de-sac. Adelanto appeared, and Milanovic versus Tulio beats him. Still going now for Priestman. Deflects away for the strike from Simmons, and he couldn't make it goals in back-to-back matches, the 20-year-old.
Well, it was a difficult one, but again, it's great play from Western Sydney in tight areas. Milanovic, who's been at the heart of everything in this second half, is the instigator, and it's just bounced just up and away from Simmons as he was trying to get the strike on.
Well, there's an indication of the second half storyline. 64% possession for Western Sydney. That tells you the tale. Mariners now with a rare foray forward. Nisbet. And it was Milanovic that time defensively getting involved. Farrell wins it back for the Mariners. Paul. Tulio. Brad Tapp. Neat ball out to Rue, just opening up the pitch for the Central Coast. And Rue couldn't get away from Clisby. Tulio, though, wins it back for the Mariners. Nisbet and Tulio on the inside, and didn't use him initially, and in the end the pass picked off by Priestman. And Western Sydney escape this press from the Mariners. No, they can't. Torres shoots. Margush stretching and pushing it around.
Well, that's a good save from Daniel Margush. Great hustling from Josh Nisbet and the Mariners, and Angel Torres, he's been in fine form in recent weeks. to bend it into that far corner. Margush gets down well, palms it away.
Really good save, wasn't it, from Daniel Margush? Not easy. Stepping back into this level for the first time in about 20 months. Tulio. It's deep. It's too deep, but Caltac should track it down. And he's just run it out of play. Is that just to give him a bit of time to get back in position, Macca?
It's a bit early for time wasting now, isn't it?
Well, it does allow the Mariners to try and squeeze Western Sydney again down in the corner. Clearsby up to Milanovic. A lot of wrestling going on, isn't there, in these one-on-one battles? That's a huge win from Battolato. Priestman. Simmons on the outside. So too Valentino Yule. Lante looking for the pass. He found it, but so too did Torres find a wonderful tackle. Tulio busting forward. Nisbet was getting a bit of a pullback in back play, but Tulio decides to go himself. And Western Sydney will look to spring the other way. Really opening up in the last couple of minutes this match.
Well, Mariners games tend to do that in the second half, don't they? Put it over the top for Yule to retrieve. Now here's a challenge for Farrell. Yule got it into the middle. Battolato. He couldn't time his shot with the cross. Under some pressure there. Well, see who it was again. Bradley Tapp. The fine intervention needed to be there. Got it right. Well, Marco Tulio's leading the Paramount Plus player index. Brad Tapp wasn't in the top 5, but I think he's doing a lot of work that maybe isn't counted on those statistics. Macca with a wry smile. Find out who he's going to put in his top 3 for the Alex Tobin medal. Brad Tapp's got to be up there, you'd think, as Torres into the box finds Reese. What a chance! And Tulio couldn't get that cross past Jack Clearsby, but Jing Reese, after the good work from Torres. You can't ask for a better chance than that, can you? I think he went with the wrong foot. I think he tried to go with the left foot rather than the right. Just slid across his body. That was a glorious opportunity for the Mariners to go 2 ahead. What a moment after soaking up all the pressure in this second half to date. The Mariners with a sucker punch to go 2-0 ahead. Corner is once again claimed by Margush. Wanderers fans have seen this movie before against the Mariners here at CommBank Stadium, where they have dominated the match. Mariners have stung them at the other end. Shows you how much Western Sydney have been on the front foot in this second half, but it doesn't count for anything if you don't put the ball in the back of the net. Yule versus Caltac. Oh, Simmons gets a bit of good fortune. And Aiden Simmons, well, he was felled by Tapp, the man who's been everywhere. And Alex King says it was a fair challenge. Well, I tend to agree. I think that's a great challenge. His defensive duties have been fantastic. Winning that ball back in transition moments, but the tap today.
Are you putting him above Tulio on the Macca's naked eye thermometer?
Well, he's having a great game. He's really bossing it in that midfield. Doing the job that, you know, maybe doesn't get all the plaudits.
Well, credit to him. He missed the entire last campaign with that ACL injury. Injured it in the grand final defeat in 2022 for the Mariners in the Football New South Wales League One decider. Missed the entire campaign, comes in this year. Antonsen was goal side of Caltech now. Finds Battalato. Links with Ewell. Just got his feet tangled up there in Jacob Farrell. Well, his presence can do that to you. He's such a strong defender. And here he goes, Jacob Farrell going for a jaunt down the left-hand edge, but he's given it away. Battalato saw the run of Clearsby. Inside towards Antonsen, but the ball just not going to feed at the moment for Western Sydney in the box.
Well, they're threatening though, aren't they? You feel at any moment they're going to produce a quality opportunity and keep knocking on that Mariners door.
Marco Rudin cutting a frustrated figure on the sideline. Here's a little bit more grappling, and here is Milos Ninkovic. Is he the man to unlock the Mariners? We saw what he did in his very short period off the bench last week. He was heavily involved in the setup to play Klur in for the assist for the Ewell goal to put it out of reach for MacArthur. Here he comes. He's had some Achilles issues, had some calf problems, Milos Ninkovic, the 39-year-old. He is so valuable for this Western Sydney Wanderers side. So too Lockie Brook, who comes on. Valentino Ewell and Alex Battalato leave the field. Lockie Brook, who started 6 of 10 this season, probably hasn't had the goal-scoring season we expected when he scored those 5 in the Australia Cup. He banged them in against Floreat Athena, but only the double against Western United back in round 2. And, well, that first goal was pretty impressive. We just haven't seen that since from him. Former Brentford man. Maybe this is his afternoon to shine. Priestman got a pinch from the blind side, but too much force. Mariners bench up in arms about that. It's his goal the difference at the moment. What a strike it was. We were saying that something special would be required to break down the best defence in the league. That has forced them to chase this game. Rolante and Brook, the fresh legs. Now Simmons. Lisby. Ninkovic has to give chase. This is what we mentioned moments ago. It's just those passes, those crosses into the box. Just not finding the mark at the moment for Western Sydney, but that's only at the moment. Antonsen towards Clearsby. Nearly on cue.
Well, I'm not sure if Storm knew anything about the Western Sydney player coming in behind him. May have got a little bit lucky there. The ball comes across here, he just looks to take a touch, and Jack Clisby almost steals in front of him.
Farrell driving in front of Jing Reese. Well, this is going to be a very interesting decision. Alex King says 6 of one, half dozen of the other, play on. Daniel McBrain agrees.
Well, if anything, I think it was a foul by Jing Reese. Look here, his body across him, he just pulls him away.
So the final 20 minutes almost upon us here at Combank Stadium. Mariners are going to throw in a couple of substitutions as well. Christian Theoharis, who's just extended for another season, he's going to come onto the field for Brad Tapp. And Marco Tulio, his final bow as a Mariner, and what a parting gift it was to bid sayonara to the Mariners faithful as he heads now to Kyoto Sanga in the J-League. And Brad Tapp. Now, this is very intriguing, Mac, because you'd probably argue two of their best players, two of the best players on the pitch today, leaving with 20 minutes to go.
Yeah. Brad Tapp's work has been immense in that midfield area. We can see now Josh Nisbet just dropping back into that deeper role. Hitzio stepping in front to that 10 role.
So does that change anything? The fact that Brad Tapp, who is nipping at everyone's heels in midfield, that energy gone in that department. Josh Nisbet, pretty able replacement, dropping back in, but Tapp is so impressive today. You have to credit that as Milanovic. That pass picked off by Nisbet, straight into his work in that deeper role. Milanovic keeps it inside the line, has to evade the challenge of Theoharis, his former teammate at Western United. Oh, now Reese into the back of Bonnetti. I mentioned this in the first half, Mac. These young players going at it. Bonnetti v Reese. It's been a really good battle since Jing Reese has come onto the field. And here he is, Jing Reese, winning it back for the Mariners. The Pizzio making the run to the left, and Torres is going to force Alex King into his pocket, and Oscar Priestman receives a yellow card.
Well, he just didn't have the pace there, Priestman, to keep up with Torres, did he? You can see he just grabs the arm, or the shoulder, and then the arm, and then slides in just to make it the trifecta. But you can see that the danger was on. Pizzio was making a run on the left. Torres was driving at the defenders. He had to do something about it.
So really good opportunity here for the Mariners. Pretty much directly in front. Tough for the goalkeeper. Options here. Nisbet standing there. Torres. Ballard as well.
I think there's only one option that's happening here. Miguel Torres has said, "This is mine."
Bit of smoke and mirrors. He's in great form, 5 in his last 3, Torres. And he's earning a corner. The Porto youth product actually won the UEFA Youth League with Porto. And we're seeing that kind of form now in this competition. He won the free kick. He earns a corner from that set piece in front of the Mariners faithful, who have made the trip down the freeway. The corner is low and towards the near post. It's another one. Another corner on the way. Antonsen getting the touch as he tried to keep the ball away from Jing Rees, who is just a pocket dynamo. He is always full of energy when he comes off the bench. Again, it's a good delivery to that near post. It was dipping on Simmons. Rue can only hook it up in the air, which is won by Simmons. He goes back to his captain.
How big are your pockets, Ben? A pocket dynamo. Jing Rees. He's about 6'2".
Yeah, Mackie, you get my drift, don't you?
He's energetic, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
he causes
right.
problems.
All right, I'll let you have that one. 1-1. Here we go. Change for Western Sydney. Dylan Pereira's coming on. And Tate Russell coming on. Pockets of space, Macca. You know, there's plenty of meanings. So Tate Russell, this is going to give Western Sydney a little bit more energy down that right flank. Hayden Simmons has done a great job, but it's tiring work as a fullback, especially in these kind of humid conditions. Final 15 minutes upon us. It's another tight, gripping battle between these two sides. We mentioned it pre-game. It's been a while since this fixture has been a heavyweight battle as it was in the early days when Western Sydney first came into the competition, as Brook dangerously onto the head of Caltac. Remember that first match they played in the competition, that 0-0 draw, ended up being the grand final that first season, and then both have been through the roller coaster ride since, and then the last couple of seasons returned to the mojo that we saw about a decade ago. And it really is good to see. Here is a card for Farrell. Parias is going to really test out this Mariners defence. This is going to be a good final quarter hour.
Well, he's quick, isn't he, Dylan Parias? Jacob Farrell just gave him the shoulder over the advertising hoarding.
It's been almost turned into Ninkovic. There it was.
As much arguing the yellow card on that one. Dylan Parias almost ended up in row 3.
I was going to say Parramatta Eels fans would be happy with that. So the Mariners, as it stands, would be heading to 2 clean sheets in 3 matches. Have snuffed out Western Sydney pretty well so far in this game. I know we've mentioned, Macca, that passes just not hitting targets in the box, but you've got to credit the Mariners' desperation, don't you, for their work in the 18-yard box to disrupt Western Sydney.
Oh, look, I credit both defences. It's just that one lapse, allowing space for Tulio for the goal, but both defences very well organised, very well marshalled.
Mikhail Docker just getting ready by the Mariners coaching staff. Farrell has it taken off him by Parias and has to be careful because of the yellow card. Brook Brillante, and that extra energy from DiPizio. Now plays it in front of Jing Reese, and Margush came flying out. A high-pressure situation for the Western Sydney goalkeeper, who wasn't expecting to play today. He had to get that right, or he was heading to the stands, and he nailed his moment.
Well, he got it right, didn't he? Perfect. Jing Reese was probably odds-on favourite to get there first. It was just sheer determination from Daniel Margush to get out strong.
Priestman doesn't have anyone out wide. He thought, I might just run out there, and now he links with Brillante. This is the kind of moment Western Sydney fans will be looking for Ninkovic. He can split a game wide open, but he can't do much without possession. There, Harris comes away with possession for the Mariners. And Torres, just not on the same wavelength as DiPizio and Jing Reese. As though we're getting another change, and this is Mikhail Docker replacing Storm Rue. 80 minutes in the leg to the New Zealand international. And now the Brazilian. It's an embrace from Mark Jackson. Mikhail Docker, he's mainly been used off the bench, just 2 starts in 11 this season. There, Harris. Clipped by Milos Ninkovic. He joins a few in the referee's notebook. Few lately have gone into the notebook of Alex King, including this man Farrell, Nisbet and Docker. So fresh legs off the bench, and Docker links with another man who's come off the bench in Thea Harris, but his first touch was a bit heavy and he wanted to send that into the TV at home.
Just gets that all wrong there, doesn't he? Yep, little 1-2 with the cameraman.
Bit of a headache for everyone at home. Thought the ball was coming through the TV. His ball cut out. It's been the story of the day for Western Sydney. Can they find one chink in the Mariners' armour? Brook. Ninkovic could be the man. Lisby and Brook. Ninkovic returns it to Clisby. Did get a touch off the Mariners, and now Ninkovic is dropping it back for Bonetic. Was knocked off the ball a little late, but Alex King is playing advantage. Ninkovic feeds the pass to Brook. They're not diving in. They're not looking like giving away a penalty. The Mariners staying on their feet in the box. It really is a masterclass in defending.
There was plenty of defenders there, wasn't there? And like you say, they just held their ground, showed him away.
Wouldn't they love to have Brandon Borello out there? Tom Beadling alongside. He's also out injured. On his way back, though, from that groin issue. But Western Sydney, they lose this one. It would be 3 losses in 4. That 4-3 defeat to Victory. 1-0 against Adelaide. 2-0, I should say, 3 losses in 5. 2-0 against Wellington and 3-1 against MacArthur. close to salvaging something in that loss to victory, and that match against Wellington really could have gone either way late. But today, the Mariners have been able to snuff them out so far.
Well, Mark Jackson was really on the hot seat straight away in his tenure at the Mariners, wasn't he? 4 straight losses. They lost that 5th one. It was going to be the worst start for a championship winning team to a league. He turned it around.
Docker up towards Kaltaku. Rosewell. Well, they did equal the record. They would have had it on their own.
Yeah. Since then, if they win today, 7 undefeated.
And 10 in all competitions. Yeah. Well, who are Western Sydney looking to, Macca? And what's the method to break down the Mariners?
Well, they've had some promising moments as we see the Paramount Plus player index.
No Brad Tapp on that.
No Brad Tapp on there. He, for me, was immense in his 70 minutes on the pitch. But this Mariners defence has scrapped and been desperate, but stayed on their feet. They need to move that ball quickly, look for some little combination play to really open up the defence. They've got Milos Nikovic, of course, out there now. You're looking to try to get him on the ball as much as you can in advanced positions. You just think back through the game, and Antonsen really hasn't had too much, has he? There was one ball put through to him in the first half where he didn't really have the best touch and it got away from him. He's been kept very quiet, so the service has been snuffed out to him.
Brook. Good handling from Lockie Brook to keep on his feet as he was getting bumped by Mariners. And then he got the shot away. It sailed wide.
Well, it wasn't a bad effort. It's going to take something spectacular to beat Danny Vukovic from there.
Well, we've had late drama across the first 2 matches to start this round. Both finished in draws. They grab another one, Western Sydney. Could be 3 consecutive draws to begin the round. A tipster's nightmare. Look at that, 56 final third entries. But how many of those gilt-edged opportunities? Very few, to be fair. The Mariners have just been there. Bonnetti. Lisby. Docker got a toe in, but Brook was able to rein it in. And the Brazilian comes away with possession, wins the free kick. It's a frustrated Western Sydney side. Just a couple of minutes from the end of regulation time.
There's no need for the foul there, was there? They were under pressure. The only thing he was really going to do is either dribble into more pressure or just knock the ball long. It just allows the Mariners just to slow it down again. Danny Vukovic takes his time. Now they can get it up the field.
Danny Vukovic about to extend the record for most clean sheets in A-League history. 93 it would be if he chalks up another one today. Closing in on the big century. Turn into space by Priestman. Allowed room to move Priestman. And he struck it straight into the lap of Vukovic. Well, that's as good a chance as they've had recently.
Well, it is, and it's telling that it's still from right out the edge of the box. We're saying that that's one of the better chances they've created. Not through a lack of trying. His defence inside and around that penalty box has been on point.
Perez, head down. Barges past Farrell. Corner kick. Everyone was looking at the referee, and he points towards the corner flag.
I think he got that one right. Jacob Farrell was having a quick look though, wasn't he? He's already on a yellow card.
Yeah, he did look a little concerned. And he is going to have to keep an eye on Marcelo here. And the corner just lets the air out of the stadium.
Well, that's not what you need as it ticks over on the 90-minute mark. Attacking corner, kick directly out of play. You don't see that very often. Marco Rudin cannot believe it.
So currently on the live ladder for the Mariners, this would take them a point behind Western Sydney, 17 points into fourth with a win here. Still time to run though as Perez. Priestman. Yellow shirts coming from everywhere. Brook. Bonatig. Brook calls it. Anderson. A brief moment there of space, but the Mariners once again closed it up. So there you go. Mariners sitting in fourth. Western Sydney. A win today would have sent them into top spot. Caltac. Vizio. Torres. Spills out for Perez. Still time if Western Sydney are good enough here. More than enough time to find an equaliser. Brillante. Clearsby. Up rose Dan Hall. Priestman got up and about, but it's Vizio who emerges with possession. Lobs it in front of Jing Reese, who darts away down this right edge. And ran into a wall in the form of Oscar Priestman. Are they about to go from no wins in the first 4 matches to sitting fourth after 11? Ninkovic, Perez. It's overhit to Brook. He keeps it inside, links with Clisby. But he can't find a teammate. The Mariners with Docker just lines it up from a long way out.
That's not what you want. It's been a workmanlike performance today from the Mariners. Their usual flowing, flamboyant attacking style. But it's just giving the ball away. It gives them an extra minute, Western Sydney, to come back at them.
Ninkovic. Brook. They've been patient, Western Sydney, but the Mariners just continue to turn them away. Now it's down to their final chance. Brook. Brillante. Ninkovic. Sends it wide. Perez. A Appeals for handball against Nisbet. Russell scoops it up. And it drops for Ballard, who gets it away to DiPizio. Takes on Marcelo. Well, there was a half shout from Western Sydney about a potential handball. I don't think there'll be any issues for the Mariners, though. And it's the Mariners who begin 2024 with victory. 3 straight wins in the Isuzu Ute League. Bottom of the table after 4 rounds. They sit 4th after 11 matches. An undefeated run of 10. Marco Rudan's side defeated for the 3rd time in the last 5. A little bit of thinking to do for his men. But it's the Mariners in Marco Tulio's final match for the club who celebrate a gritty, a determined performance here away from home at CommBank Stadium. You just knew it was going to be a tight contest. Western Sydney have kept things tight at home. In the end, it was a stunning solo goal from the departing Brazilian star, Marco Tulio. It's the difference here at CommBank. Western Sydney Wanderers 0, Central Coast Mariners 1. And we'll be back with all the reaction after the break here on Paramount Plus as the Mariners go forth on the table. The champions are purring in 2024.
There we go. Huge third round of the FA Cup coming up. All the games on Paramount Plus. Sunderland, Newcastle, the big one. Or you can wait one day and watch Peter play Leeds. That's going to be a superb one too. I am here. The game is over with player of the match, Marco Tulio, and Andres Clavijo with us here too. Andres, you're going to interpret for Marco. I appreciate it. Marco, you didn't quite get a goal in the grand final in this stadium, but you got one in your final game in a stadium that means so much to Mariners fans. How much does it mean to you?
No hiciste gol en la final en este estadio la vez pasada, pero terminas acá con un gol en un estadio tan importante para los hinchas. ¿Cómo te sientes haciendo gol hoy?
Estava imaginando que ia fazer gol na final.
I was imagining, hoping that I would score a goal in this final game.
Mas não deu. O mais importante foi ter sido campeão. E voltar ao estádio que a gente foram campeão.